Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the podcast that explores the world within and out. And thank you for subscribing to Traveling Inside Out wherever you find your podcast. And if you could rate it on Spotify and iTunes, I would love it. Thank you. If you have listened to last week's episode, you would know that there was a surprise trip happening last week, basically. And if you haven't, why haven't you? Like, please go ahead and listen to the previous episode. But I want to talk today about a short, very short Philadelphia trip. I mean, the title gives it away. That was a surprise birthday gift somehow for my husband. I'm going to be very honest with you really quick. I really would love to also have the articles written about my trips, but for some reason, I have a block. I don't know exactly why. So eventually, I'm going to write about this trip and about the previous trips because I have really nice pictures that I want to share. Haven't shared on social media most of my pictures, and I'm keeping them off social media so then I can post them on my website. It's just taking me a moment to actually do it. So I'm just being very honest with you. Please take it as I'm giving it to you, I guess. As I was saying last week, it was my husband's birthday in March, and I decided because he was changing his prefix, I decided to do 4 presents for him. And since we already had booked the Las Vegas trip, the one that I talked about it in the previous episode, I was thinking that I want to do another short, tiny trip. And it all started with the fact that Amtrak, which is one of the trains that circulate within the United States, had an amazing offer. And I think they still do. But obviously, you need to book a bit in advance because those tickets are going to be very easily sold out. So they had trips for $10 from New York to Philadelphia if it's between or after 7 p.m. and up to 5 or 6 a.m. And I was like, $10, I can afford $10. Because at the end of the day, when I decided that I want to offer like 4 presents to my husband, I'm still unemployed currently. So I can't afford that much. I would offer him, the moon because but I can't afford it. So I was trying to find a way to have the plans I wanted to make it in such a way that I'm not going to put a very horrible strain on my budget. So then I was like, okay, I found this very amazing offer of $10 one way to Philadelphia. That's very cheap because sometimes it can be hundreds of dollars. And so by train. And so obviously for coach, like the regular seat. And so deciding to do that, I was thinking for how long to stay in Philadelphia. And since it's a town that I have never been before, did a bit of research. And then I realized that I think if we have 2 nights, like 2 days, should be okay. Especially since we are going to take the train after 7 p.m., 8, 9, 10. It could help us. So what I decided to do is this. We took the train. So I booked the train for Wednesday night. We were leaving around 10 p.m., arriving because it's 1 hour and a half or 1 hour 40 minutes. It's between 1 hour and a half and 2 hours kind of a train. And we will get there at midnight. And then we would come back on Friday night, which was around 8 p.m. or something like that. So we would be no later than or around 10 p.m. Back in New York. So that was what I was planning. And I was planning this back in March, not knowing if my husband is going to have work on a project during that time. But I told him, initially I wanted to do it in the weekend. But because I kept checking about the accommodation, since this was $10, I thought, maybe I should first book the accommodation and then book the train. So first, I actually was thinking to go in the weekend, but then because I kept checking and checking and checking, then I realized that I can't go in the weekend because the prices got really higher. So then I decided to go from Wednesday to Friday. And usually, if I can help it, I would not travel during the weekend because that's when most people are traveling. And since I don't have a job currently, and he's the way that he works, he sometimes has days of the week available, depending on the project he works for. It was just working just fine. Okay, so I booked the train tickets. I booked the accommodation, which I'm going to get into this hopefully in my writing about Sonder accommodation. There was a lot of, long story short, there was some complications. It got canceled just a few days before, and then I rebooked with them, and it was cheaper than booking through booking.com. And so I um, I booked the accommodation in the Old Town, what is known as Old Town in Philadelphia, which is like 10 or 15 minutes away by car from the main train station, Amtrak station in Philadelphia. Okay, so we take the train. The train is late. It's coming from Washington. It's late like 40 something minutes. We get there. We just got a lift. Also, the lift was cheap. It was after midnight, and the lift was just $10. And probably coming from New York, when they are charging the F out of everything, my husband was like, "Oh my god, it's like really cheap. Let's take the lift. It's $10." Like, I'm like, that's great. So we got to the accommodation. I had the code and everything, and it's an apartment. It was a big apartment, and we went to sleep because, I mean, yeah, we arrived after midnight. So the Thursday we had basically the whole Thursday, and then I decided to just book the Thursday night as well, which meant that when we check out on Friday, we still have like a whole day until the evening when the train leaves. And when I said that to my husband, he was like, "Are you sure we have enough things to do?" And I was like, "We're going to improvise." What I forgot to say is this: my husband did not know where we're going. It was supposed to be a surprise. And I thought that we are like, he's going to realize where we're going when we get to the train station. But because in the train, it was just saying, it was coming from, the train was coming from Boston and it was going to Washington. So it was just written Washington. And he's like, "Oh, we're going to Washington." And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Then what? We're going to Washington, D.C." And I was like, "No." And he's like, "What other Washington is there?" He was asking me, and I'm like, "No, the train goes in the direction, like the last stop is Washington. But we're going to get off before that." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, I still don't know where we're going." Luckily, I don't think that his geography was that good. Because I don't think he realized we're going to Philadelphia. And even when we were in the train and the person who checks the tickets come and check the tickets, he asked us like, "Philly for two?" And I said yes, but husband had on purpose the headphones on. He didn't want to know where he was going, so he didn't know up until we got to Philadelphia that where we're going, which was really exciting. And I want in the future, I want us to do this, but like flying somewhere or something like this. I think it's really exciting for him to be like, yeah. So I just basically, I told him how the weather is going to be like. So then he knows what to pack. But because, again, we were staying just for 2 days, I was like, yeah, you just need 2 outfits. So like just have one pair of pants and like 3 tops of some sort, and then you're good to go. Okay, so Thursday morning, I knew for a fact that I wanted to go to the Reading Terminal Market, which was like 10 minutes walk from where we were living, 10-15 minutes. So we woke up in the morning and we walked there, and the difference between seeing a Reading Terminal Market in the morning before everybody comes on And out midday when it's like fully packed, it's such a huge difference. And I'm so happy that we managed to see it in the morning when there were not so many people, or they are just opening up, or they were just getting ready for the day or stuff like that. We decided to go with some crepe, which is pancakes in my corner of the woods, or was the expression. um, we are calling pancakes and then American pancakes. So here they are called crepe and pancakes. So we had crepe with eggs and bacon. It was really good. And then I also had some cookies. I bought some cookies, and then we decided to go. So my point was that let's do the most of the walking today because we can go back to the accommodation, and leave if we want to if we decide to go to any museums or stuff like that, leave for the next day because that's when we probably would need to also sit down, and especially since we're gonna have the backpack, like the small backpacks that we had with us the whole time. My point was that I wanted to go all the way to the boathouse row, where there's also the lighthouse of a Turtle Rock. And so that was quite a walk from the old town on Vine Street, is where we were staying, all the way to there. So we passed by some signs. I didn't find I love Philly sign uh, around Love Park, but there were two other signs with love and amor or something like that. Um, and so I took some pictures there, and then we came up on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, like I would call it Boulevard, that was filled with flags from different countries. And honestly, for someone like me who I get bored easily if I walk long distances and there's nothing exciting to look at, it was amazing to just see all of these flags and try to realize that there's a lot of flags that I don't know. And obviously, I would mostly know the flags of the countries that I visited or that I'm planning to visit. I have to brush up of the flags in Eastern, Middle East, Africa, and some Asian countries. To be honest with you, um, it was interesting to see. I was happy to see the Trinidadian flag because that's the heritage of my husband. I've seen Icelandic flag and also the Romanian flag. However, the Romanian flag was by the side of Russian flag, and I'm not gonna say more than that. But for a moment, I was like, ugh, 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 ugh. Um, so on the way, so basically going that way on that boulevard, we passed by Logan Square, which I think it's like fountains and stuff, and then we got to the Washington Monument fountain, and I'm obsessed. Also, I have to say there are so many statues in Philadelphia, and I don't know if I made this known. But my very close friends know that I'm obsessed with statues. I love statues so much. I love to see the tiny details done and how it's been preserved as well, and the meaning, like who is this person? Why is there a statue of the person? Why do and especially in the United States, like maybe some statues should not be that much of a statue. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I have not seen so many statues in New York, for example, or maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. But it was just so great. And this one was on top of the top. Like it was so good. And then from there, talking about statues, we crossed the street and then we got to the Rocky statue. And I don't know why. Can someone please tell me why is it that I am so against posing by very important landscapes in like everybody else? So when there's a line of people, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. But I did just take a picture of the statue with nobody else. I didn't want to go. So the Rocky statue, basically you go by its side, then you lift your arms up like you are strong or something like that. And everybody's doing it. I just feel a yuck about it. I'm not judging anyone who's doing that. I just don't understand why is everyone enjoying this and why am I hating it? Like, I really do not know, but I do hate it. And this is one of the things that I've learned in social media, my pictures were not valid enough because I do not have the famous pictures by the famous landmarks in the places where I'm traveling. Like usually, my pictures are from another corner in the very specific or known area or the bio landscape. It's just that it's not gonna like all of these influencers, like travel influencers, they are posing at the main thing, so you know that they have been there. Because if you just see like some leaves and a tree, you won't know that I'm in whatever park or something like that. But yeah, that's my way. I don't know why is that, but that's how I function. And so we finally made it to the stairs. I made a joke to husband as soon as we got to the stairs. I was like, "And run!" And he was like, "No." But we didn't run on the stairs. I, however, really enjoyed when we got on the top of the stairs. Also, for some reason, I thought that there were more stairs. It seemed, or maybe because I didn't run on them, but from all the movies, Rocky movie, but like also other people getting there, for some reason, it felt that there were way more stairs. So I don't know what happened. I really don't. But I was a bit disappointed. Am I the only one who goes there and is disappointed? Maybe. When we got on the top of the stairs, I loved watching people being silly, running and being happy that they made it on the top, and all of those stuff, and jumping and taking pictures, jumping and being like it's fun to watch. And then we saw, as you look down the stairs, basically, so you see the boulevard and you see the Washington Monument Fountain and stuff. As you look down, on your right, there's a golden statue. I don't remember who the statue represented, but we were curious enough to go and see what is that about. And then we decided to go basically around the building, which is a museum, because Google said that we can go like that to make it to the boathouse row. And so we went down. There was like a gazebo or whatever it's called, where people were chilling at. And so we sit down for a little bit. Then we continue on the boathouse row, and we did see like the houses were really nice. And then we stopped when we got to the lighthouse because we also wanted to go back all the way back to our accommodation, also on foot. So we stopped on a bench. I took a few pictures. I did see some rowboats. Their husband called them very flimsy. They were very tiny, tiny, tiny. I was like, I think this is how they are. And he's like, I don't know. I've seen it on TV, but like I never realized that they are so flimsy, like so thin and so small. How are they even doing this? And I was like, I don't know. And then we decided to go back. But this time around, we came back on the I don't know how you pronounce this. Skillkill, Skylkill, Shulkill. I really don't know how you pronounce this. It's basically on the riverside. It's a beautiful, beautiful, and very long. In my language, we are calling it faleza. Basically, walking area that you can bike or walk or whatever. And we passed by a skate park that was nice, and we walked for many bridges. We crossed a lot of bridges, and I really enjoyed the walk. It was lovely. We were seeing some of the apartments that were basically facing, and I was like, how much does that cost? Let me go on Zillow. How much would it cost one of those apartments that has that beautiful view over the river and towards the other side? The other side being where eventually the train station was, where we came from, but also the university area, apparently. So I'm guessing those are some campus there and stuff like that. And just went to leave, so we decided to come back up basically and head back on Walnut Street, which is one of the main streets, I guess, in town. I saw on the other side by the train station, there were some people on a building. And I was like, oh, there are people on a building. And it seemed that they are chilling there. And I was like, I want to see what that is. I want to go there, especially since it was so close to the train station. I was like, oh, we could go there tomorrow before we leave. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. And then when I checked later the next day, I realized that I actually had it marked for a place to go to. That was really funny. So we decided to go back. As I said, we went up on the Walnut Street, and then we see the Phyllis mural. That was really beautiful. I'm a little bit upset because I have a feeling that there are a lot more murals, but I didn't find them. So maybe next time we're going to Philly, I can pay a little bit more attention because I think there's a bit of a street art happening within the town. So we walked back to the accommodation. On the Walnut Street for most of the time. We passed some other parks and stuff, and then we passed by, like as I was saying, the Washington Square and Liberty Bell. And for some reason, I think there was a miscommunication because I wanted to stop, but husband didn't. And now he's telling me that no. So in that moment, I wanted to stop. There were not so many people. There was not such a long queue. I was like, I'm in Philadelphia. I might as well see the Liberty Bell. But he seemed he didn't want to stop. He seemed that he kept wanting to go. So I was like, okay, fine. You don't care about this. And then there was more information about stuff. And then he kept going. And I'm like, oh, I guess we're going. Okay. So we didn't stop. And then the following day, it was too long of a queue. And I didn't want to wait. So yes, we made it to Philadelphia and we did not see the Liberty Bell. Are we the only ones? Maybe. I don't know. So then we passed by. Oh, and then somehow from that place we make a right. And then by chance, we just passed by Benjamin Franklin grave. And people, and I don't understand. Why are people throwing coins at him, at his grave? I'm like, why would you even, is this for the people who are taking care of the grave? Or like, what's the point? What is it with our brain that we need to throw coins at everything? Like at a fountain, what is it? When, like two things that I do not understand. The padlocks on bridges and coins thrown at everything. Like, what the fuck is that about? I said I'm not going to curse this episode, and yet here I am cursing. Anyway, I don't get it. We finally get it back to the old town. So, and also we passed by the Alfred's Alley Museum, which is a very nice short street with interesting houses. I need to check more about the history of it because we passed actually by a tour guide and I was trying to like eavesdrop a little bit. But we kept going. And then eventually we make it back to our accommodation. We chill for like an hour and a half. And then we go back out because we have a couple's massage booked, which was the other present that I had for the husband. So it was basically the accommodation, the train, and then the couple's massage. And it was our first time ever getting a massage, and it was our first time ever getting a couple's massage, right? So we went to this place that was close to Washington Square. And I was a little bit nervous because I don't know how to do things and so on. And obviously, I didn't put the shit properly on me. Now, I have to say that husband had a good time with the massage. It was feeling really good for him and very relaxing and really great. While for me, it was a bit too rough. I was clenching my jaw the whole time. And I was realizing that I'm clenching my jaw. And I was like, wait, isn't this supposed to be relaxing? This is, ugh. And then I'm pretty sure I have a knot on my left side because when she was pressing on that, like her fingers got into that knot and I felt like I'm battling a dragon. I can't explain how painful that was. And I was like, well, I hope that afterwards I'm going to feel okay. It was for 50 minutes, and I also got bored, so I realized that for future reference, I think I'm okay with the 30 minutes massage. I just can't, like, I got bored. I was like, I couldn't fully relax. I was so clenched, I guess, because of the how rough she was. But it was with oil, hot oil, and then also the hot stones. And the stones a little bit were a little bit too hot for me as well. So I didn't fully enjoy it. But I'm happy that my husband did, because in the end, that was the surprise for him. And I was very curious. We didn't talk at all. Also, I never done this. Are you supposed to talk with your partner during this time? Or what's happening? Yeah, I don't know. We didn't talk. But I was very curious if he's enjoying this or if it's everything okay. And then when we finished and we were raising up, he was saying like, "Oh wow!" And I was like, "Yes!" So that means that for him it was great, and that was the main point. Okay, so then we want to go for dinner. Husband has some ideas that he just found randomly on the internet, and we go to this place, and it was around 6-ish p.m. We go there, and I see a lot of people, and I'm like, this is kind of famous. And we go there, and they're like, "Do you have reservations?" And we were like, "No." And she's like, "We don't have availability until 8:30." And we were like, "Okay, thank you, bye." I was like, "Okay, so that's really famous." So then, husband was like, "Oh, it's this behind, around the corner. There's a barbecue, Japanese barbecue place." And he was like, "Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we went there, and I personally got very confused on what's happening, because they said that they have an offer of all you can eat that costs this much. I usually do not buy all you can eat, because I'm not eating enough to make sense for the money that I'm spending. I usually just don't. So I said to my husband, "You can book the all you can eat, but I won't. I'm just gonna buy like a regular," because they said they also have a la carte menu. And I was like, "Okay, great." And then I said, "I don't want the all you can eat." And then the waiter said, "But I can bring you an all you can eat for the table." And I was like, "Oh, okay," without realizing that that means that we are paying for two people. I just didn't put them together. And then later on, when I checked the menu, I saw that it was $45 per person. So what we ordered was 13 different kind of meats. Um, and we were going to cook them ourselves. The problem is that, and I'm going to be honest with you, because as a traveler, without actually being to this place before, I have to be honest when I do mistakes. It's like, this is how I learn, and this is how I'm letting you know that no matter how many times you've done stuff, you can still get some stuff wrong. So they didn't bring us any salt or pepper. And I was scared that if I'm asking salt or pepper, I'm gonna sound like the the people who don't know and ask for ketchup when they go to Italy to put on pizza or something like that. And I didn't want to offend anyone. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to. And honestly, some of those meats were not okay for me. We had some sauces, but they were not fully salty enough. So I struggled a little. And the waiter was nice. He kept coming and asking if we need anything else. It's just that I felt, am I offending anyone? I kept looking at other tables to see, is anyone else having salt or pepper? I looked around in the area where they bring the food from. I'm like, do they have salt and pepper? Like, I really checked without trying to, but I just I felt that I'm offending someone if I'm asking for salt or pepper. And then I found out from a friend that I actually was supposed to ask for the salt and pepper. So unfortunately, for me, it was lost. And especially since we didn't even eat more than what they offer, we could have replaced some meats and eat or bring more or like all sorts of stuff. It was just lost on me. So honestly, that was very expensive for the amount that we ate. And I don't want to do this ever again, to be honest with you, or anytime soon. But the quality was great. I have nothing to say. We ate 13 types of meat. A lot of animals have died. for that, but that's the place to go to. And then we decided to walk back because I wanted to make it all the way to um, uh, I don't remember how it's called. So all the way to the other side of the river, which was I didn't mark it down. I forgot to mark it down. How it's called? I think it's like Philadelphia view. Oh, Seaport. The Seaport. Yeah, I remember now. Which is so crazy that it's called Seaport because there's no sea. That's still a river. Anyway, so we went all the way back basically there. It was already night. So it was nice to see Philadelphia in the night as well. Um, and we then walked up from the seaport. We walked up towards our accommodation and we stopped at one of like the first ice cream shop ever in United States that is called how is it called? Franklin Fountain, I think. Yeah. And so that's a famous place. And I had a chocolate mint ice cream, and my husband had a milkshake. It was so good, really, really, really good. And then, yeah, we slowly like ate the thing and then got back to accommodation. And in total, we did over 30,000 steps, like around 20 something kilometers walking that day. And we went to sleep. The next day, again, as I said, we were checking out at 11, and then we would not have a place where to be at until 8 p.m. ish, more or less. And so I decided to stay at the accommodation, just have a cup of tea. And then I remembered, wait, the accommodation had some pictures of a roof that it's nice to be at. So we went out on the roof and we enjoyed, my husband enjoyed the sun for like half an hour. And then we eventually checked out and then we decided to go. The closest that was to us, and I was like, it's for free. We don't need to pay anything and we don't need to make any reservations, is the United States Mint, which is a factory / museum where they make coins. And boy, let me tell you, if you ever make it to that place specifically, but also any coin museum / factories, please go. It was so fascinating. They were saying this was like a self-guided tour and it was like around 45 minutes. That's what they were saying. I think we stayed like over 1 hour. It was so interesting, so fascinating to understand how the coins were made, the history of them, the small. I cannot explain to you how fascinating this was for me. I was extremely happy that we went. I was now I'm very curious. Like, I don't even know if we have something like this in Romania. I don't think they have something like this in Iceland. But now I want to go to all the coin factories in the world. Like, it's so fascinating. It's just, I cannot tell you like how much I loved that experience. Then we passed again by the Liberty Bell and we realized like it's not happening. And then I wanted to go to, it's called Magnolia Park, which was a tiny park with bloom trees. However, I also have to say this because I didn't say it for the previous day. It was way warmer in Philadelphia than in New York, like 10 degrees. And when I'm saying degrees, I'm referring to Celsius. I do not function with Fahrenheit quite yet. And so what happened was that I got sunburned in the first day after walking for like 20 kilometers on foot in the sun. I got sunburned because I think my brain couldn't understand that after living so long in Iceland, I couldn't understand that April could be the month that I get sunburned. It was just not in my mind, basically. So I got sunburned. That was not okay. So the following day, we decided to go find me a place where I can buy some sun lotion to apply, but I also had like a scarf that would cover me just in case. And so from there, we decided to go back to the terminal, the reading terminal market, which again it's kind of similar with the market in what's it called? The market in Barcelona. It's a lot of things that you can eat, and they are freshly made or local sourced or anything like that. So we went again, and this time was around after midnight, after midday, and obviously that it was just so good. It took a moment until we decided what to eat. We took from two different places, and then we ate. And after that, we were like, okay, so what should we do with time? And it just happened that on our way to Reading Terminal Market, we passed by a mall that had like a huge sign with AMC, which is the theater, like where we usually go to movies here in New York, and a bowling ball. And I'm like, oh, we could go bowling actually. And that would take some time off of our, to spend time. And we decided to do that. But when we got there, my husband was like, oh, arcade games. Let's go and do arcade games. And I'm like, okay. So we got like like a card in which you can play 1 hour of arcade games. And we did just that, which was actually kind of my first time playing like arcade games like this. At least since my childhood. Even though in my childhood I didn't play that much anyway to begin with because we didn't have access to them. So that was really nice. We played some shooting games. Like, it was really lovely. And then we came out from there and we didn't know what else to do. So we slowly found our way to Circa Green, which again, it was a bit of walking. So the Circa Green was actually the place that I mentioned, the park that was, it's actually an urban park that is at the 14th floor or 13th, 9, I don't remember what was the floor, on a building. And a lot of people are going there. It looks like the cool kids are going there, to be honest with you. And so we decided to stay there for a few hours until the train, like around until sunset time, more or less. And then we went to the train station. We waited for the train station, and we waited for the train station. We waited for the train. The train was not delayed, so at 8:40 something, we left, and then we made it in New York just a little bit over, like 5 minutes after 10. And then immediately we caught a subway, like a train to come all the way back to Brooklyn, and everything was amazing. So that's my time in Philadelphia. I do have to say that it was unexpectedly nice. I really loved it. I didn't expect it to be so nice, such a clean city, beautiful, a lot of interesting places. We are planning to come back in autumn, in October. I don't know if we're going to do it or not. But yeah, we are planning to come back in October. It just looks so nice. And honestly, I would see myself living there, but I'm going to live in New York. But it was just such a beautiful city. And I just wanted, because I usually want to go to different cities, because why not? I didn't expect to love it that much. It was clean, it was nice, it was entertaining, it had great food, it looked like it had a bit of a nightlife as well, but I'm just not that interested in nightlife. And amazing views. And the fact that you can go on top of a building and chill in a park while watching the river, it was just so, so, so beautiful. So have you ever been to Philadelphia, or would Philadelphia be on your list if you ever make it to the United States? Let me know. You know how to find me. This concludes today's episode. Thank you for listening and for reviewing Traveling Inside Out. If you want to get in touch with me, send an email to podcast@alinaigrad.com. And remember, your outer journey begins with inner